So today we are honored to have Scott Tardy, who is the Chief Executive Officer and the Executive Director at the George G. Glenner Alzheimer's Family Centers here in San Diego. There are 3 locations. I'm just going to read a little bit of statistics because every time I read these statistics, it just hits me mid-center in the head. There are over 5 million people afflicted by Alzheimer's or dementia. It's the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. Every 66 seconds, someone's diagnosed, and there are over 60,000 San Diegos over the age of 50 who have either Alzheimer's or dementia. Those are pretty staggering numbers.
Yeah, but to be honest, those numbers always stagger me as well. I mean, just hearing the numbers, certainly locally here in San Diego, and you know that number, 62,000 or so San Diegans is scheduled.
Just over 50.
Yes.
We're not talking over 80.
Absolutely, yeah. And that number scheduled, from what I understand, to go up to over 90,000 in the next 10 to 15 years or so. So this is a disease of epidemic proportions. Make no mistake about it. And finding resources for family caregivers is certainly one of the priorities of our organization.
And tell us about the Glenner organization.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
I love the story.
Yeah, thank you so much, and just again honored to be here and tell the story. We really see myself and my team. We see us as really individuals that are focused on the legacy of the organization. So we were actually founded in 1982. By Dr. Glenner and his wife, Joy, who just two incredible, really visionaries in the work that they did throughout their careers. Dr. Glenner was a researcher and a physician as well, and he was recruited from the National Institutes of Health to become one of the first researchers at the University of California, San Diego. And so obviously a lot happened over a time period, but in his research he discovered what's known as the beta amyloid proteins, which is really the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. And so essentially the way that the Glenner Centers were born was that both Dr. Glenner and Joy stopped a murder-suicide from happening one late evening, and Dr. Glenner said to Joy, "It's time to start to take care of the living." And really continued his research, certainly, but I still to this day, hearing that story get goosebumps because they focused, the remainders of their careers on taking care of family caregivers and our participants in our centers.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So that's the history of the Glenner,
Yes.
which I read as well and felt that was a very heartwarming story, having lived through my own journey.
Yeah.
But what is the actual benefit of affordable respite? I mean, as a caregiver,
Sure.
it's never easy. So to find respite that you're confident you can rely on a regular basis and not have somebody call in sick or not show up.
Absolutely.
Or mention some of the many benefits that you're able to provide families.
Absolutely, Patty. I think a couple things that really strike me, and I've been involved in senior living and nursing home care, if you will, for many years. One of the things about respite programming that's so important is not everybody's ready for residential care. And not everybody is looking for someone to come into their home. We certainly work with some incredible colleagues and community partners that provide that service, residential and home care. But some people are just looking for the opportunity to bring their loved one to a safe, nurturing, kind place for the day. Maybe just one day a week, maybe a couple of half days a week, do that affordably so that they can do some of the things that, quite frankly, are essential to their health. Most of our participants are in their early 80s, so oftentimes their family caregivers or their spouses are in that age range as well, so they need to get to the doctor.
Are there children in their 60s?
Yeah, absolutely, adult children as well, certainly. So I mean, the thing about being a family caregiver, of course, is that life goes on, so you have to be able to provide for yourself as well as your loved ones. So I really feel strongly that the day program option provides for that, again, the respite and really creates an affordable option. I think when you compare pricing when it comes to residential care, we can often be less than half of the price of assisted living from kind of a national average than what you would normally see, again, in a residential setting. And again, that's a needed option for many people, and we
Absolutely.
appreciate that. But I think in the earlier stages, certainly of Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia, family members are looking for that affordable option and not necessarily looking for placement just yet.
And where are your communities that where are you housed?
Yeah, so we have 3 locations here in San Diego County. One is the original location since 1982 in Hillcrest, right on the corner of 4th Avenue and Pennsylvania. And then we have one in South Bay and on the property of Frederica Manor. So we're very fortunate to be partnered with Frederica Manor, and we have a location right there in one of the cottages in Frederica Manor.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a location inside of Encinitas, Silverado Encinitas. And again, very fortunate to be partnered with them and have been there for many years as well. So we have an incredible team, very tenured team. We have some staff members that have been with us for over 20 years now.
Wow.
So, and
That says a lot.
yeah, I always attribute it to the dedication that these associates have to not only the organization, but really to the disease, and to creating care options for individuals with Alzheimer's. That's what you see in their passion and what they do, in their daily life.
And you mentioned the word affordable, so give us an idea of what that means and how you
Sure.
fund it and what would the cost be to a caregiver.
Absolutely. So a couple things on pricing. So our private pay rate is $95 a day. We've kept that rate pretty consistent for the last several years now, and our focus is honestly to keep that rate either there or lower. That's been a discussion that we've had a lot in our team, is how do we lower our pricing? How do we get additional funding from the community and donors so that we can really pass those savings on to the family caregivers? And that's a very proud point for me, because I know that with escalating costs, oftentimes those costs can get passed on to the consumer, and I would just as soon like to see us go the other way. We try to provide as many services as possible to our family members for the most affordable rate possible. And again, I know affordability is relative, but I think when you compare the services at $95 a day, it ends up being pretty competitive for an 8-hour day. We actually partner with the Volunteers of America. They provide our nutrition program for us, so hot lunches come in, and our families really appreciate, I think, that partnership that we have with not only another nonprofit, but just again trying to keep all those services under one roof. And then I think other pieces from the standpoint of insurance, we have a contract with the VA, so we serve many of our veterans. So proud to do that and continue to expand those services. And then in 2 of our centers, we actually take what's called CBAS, which is Community-Based Adult Service, so which is essentially the California form of Medicaid, so or Medi-Cal. So we have those services as well. And we're also very proud to have 2 PACE contracts as well. So we have a contract with St. Paul's PACE and San Diego PACE. So we've really focused on trying to make sure that our services are as accessible as possible, throughout the county.
Good for you. That's
That's
impressive.
awesome.
Thank
yeah,
you.
that is awesome. So what's a typical day at the Glenner? Do you have different levels of care for people at different stages of the disease process?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a couple things in our services is very focused on a structured activity, recreation-based day. So if you were to look at the schedule, you would see things like music programs starting first thing in the morning, even things like looking at current events, a lot of physical kind of activity. So we have a community adult education teachers coming in doing various programs. So very focused at the Glenner Centers and our activity professionals on making sure that it's a structured, activity-filled day.
Not just sitting in front of the TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the reasons why I think is so important on that is certainly for the benefit of the participant and engaging them, but also to make sure that by the time they come home, that quite frankly they've spent time and are engaged and are ready for bed, so that they're not the effects on sundowning. I think sometimes can be pretty intense for a family caregiver.
They are very intense.
So I'm sure you've experienced, not being able to rest in the evening and not having a structured program during the day will cause an incredible amount of stress for a family caregiver and quite frankly for the participant as well. So we really focus on making sure that the day is structured and that it's consistent with the individual's kind of cognitive functioning as well. So I would say that by mid to sort of late stage Alzheimer's disease, that's not really our specialty. Meaning as individuals move towards mid to end stage, they may be looking at other options as far as more like residential care and things like that. So once an individual's acuity passes a certain point, I think we sit down with the families and kind of talk through what the best strategies and care planning would be. But certainly then those early to mid stages, I definitely feel strongly that the Glenner Centers is an option, for many families.
Scott, I want to take the last few minutes that we
Sure.
have today to really talk what I see as just the phenomenal what's going on in Chula Vista, and that's the town square.
Sure.
So let's talk about that the last few minutes we have together this morning.
Absolutely. So Town Square is an opportunity for us to really expand our services, certainly throughout San Diego County and hopefully throughout the country. We feel very strongly that this is an international model for care. And essentially what it is it's a 1950s, 1960s town replicated inside of a building. So the thought process behind it, and it actually was inspired by my 12-year-old daughter who went to a place called BizTown. You
Oh,
might be
it's awesome.
familiar.
Have
Yes.
you been?
Yes,
It's awesome.
absolutely. So I hadn't been before my daughter told me about it. She came home raving about it, said, "Dad, you've got to see this." So I did, and so I always tell the good folks over at BizTown, and there's some great individuals there. They really were the inspiration for us to start to explore this. So when I saw it, our model's certainly different in who we serve and what we're creating, but I saw the impact they were having on the lives of the children and the opportunities that the children were having interacting with these storefronts, and started to think about this in the realm of Alzheimer's disease. So for us in our design, and we're very excited, we're partnered with another local nonprofit, you may have heard of them, they're the San Diego Opera. So they are helping us to design our storefronts and to actually build our storefronts. So the thought process behind these storefronts is that they will be fully interactive, so there's nothing that's kind of a facade about them. Our participants will be able to go in and interact. You have things like a movie theater, a 50s style diner, a library, a pet store. All of these storefronts are reminiscent of an individual's life and in the community. And so I'm a big believer that individuals need to feel, no matter where they are in their lifespan, that they're being able to engage in community and kind of civic life. And so to be able to create this space that is utilizing reminiscence therapy, which research really has shown over the years that it reduces agitation, it improves mood, it improves sleep quality, because you can take people back to where their strongest memories are. And using these storefronts and tangible prompts is pretty powerful.
How many square feet under one?
About 8,000.
All in 8,000 square feet?
Yep. So each one of the storefronts is kind of a different footprint. Some are as big as 1,000 square feet. Some are as small as 300 or 400
So
square
people aren't
feet.
living there?
No, this is a day
this
program.
This is a
day
day
program.
program.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is
So it's not like summer house, it's where they
Right,
live in the
right,
community. This
right.
is something they're going to go to
Oh,
as one of
okay,
your day
okay.
programs.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay.
So again, we feel very passionate about providing affordable services, and this will be of that same kind of genre of our day programs now. So just in a different kind of immersive environment. So
How does this compare to what's already been done in Denmark?
as great question. So the one in Denmark is a residential community, and they actually have like a fully functioning grocery store and things like that, which is phenomenal. And I know we've been very graciously compared to their program. I think for us, what's different is, again, we're a day program, so our individuals or family members are dropping their loved ones off and coming to pick them up. And I think we really do focus on that 1953 to 1961 time period. Nothing about Town Square.
Ozzie and Harry?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a quick story that I think you guys would love. when we purchased a 1959 Ford Thunderbird.
Oh, the
yep.
small one.
Yep, yeah, it's the square
two-seat.
the square bird. So and we actually purchased it from a very kind and generous nurse who gave it to us at a fraction of what it probably would have sold for. But she believed in what we were doing, and when we took the T-Bird off of the tow truck, we had a participant see it and looked at the double headlamps and said, "That's a 1958 or later." I mean, it was an immediate connection, and so it's very powerful. You know, and we understand that, you know, it's really with Alzheimer's disease and dementia, it's moment to moment. So we're trying to create an experience that's certainly not juvenile. It's very focused on kind of an authentic experience, and not only for the participants but for their families as well, because oftentimes family members can't go to movie theaters, they can't go to a museum, they can't go to, you know, a diner or a restaurant, because the variables sometimes are not controllable for them. So to be able to come to this safe, secure environment and really experience things, I think is very powerful, and I think it's something that the country is very much in need of. There are a lot of day programs, and we certainly appreciate those programs that are out there in existence now. But the challenge is that a lot of them don't focus on Alzheimer's and dementia. And as we started with, the numbers are staggering. So this is an opportunity to really take this model and provide it across the country, and again, bring affordable services to many families in need.
When will this be completed? What's the anticipation?
First one is March of 2018.
First one, so that means I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
This is replicatable all over the country.
Correct.
So this is a fabulous model. And
That's
I
the
wish you
plan.
much success and good fortune with it. I think it's going to be phenomenally well
Thank you.
received.
Thank you so
So
much.
we are out of
We're out of time.
Scott,
just getting
thank you
started.
so much for being here today, and I wish you great success, and congratulations to all the fabulous work that you're doing at the Glenner organization, and we wish you well. So stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go TV.